Dinner was supposed to be normal. Just a quiet family meal. No drama. No tension. That was the unspoken rule. Don't make things uncomfortable. Especially for my sister. She was always the loud one. The golden child. The one whose emotions were justified, no matter how cruel they came out. I was the opposite. The one expected to absorb things. Smile. Move on. That night, we were seated around the table, plates half full, when the conversation drifted to work. My sister rolled her eyes as I talked. Must be nice, she said, pretending your little job matters. I tried to laugh it off. It pays the bills. She leaned back, smirking. Barely. My parents didn't say a word. They never did. I felt that familiar heat in my chest, the warning sign I usually ignored. So I did something different. Can you not talk to me like that? I said, calmly. The room froze. My sister stared at me like I'd broken a rule. Then she stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. Oh my God, stop overreacting, she snapped. I barely had time to process it before her hand came across my face. Sharp. Loud. The sound echoed off the walls. I tasted blood. For a second, no one moved. I looked at my parents. My mom stared at her plate. My dad cleared his throat and said, "Let's all calm down." That was it. No, are you okay? No, that's unacceptable. Just silence. My sister exhaled dramatically. See? You always make everything into a big deal. I stood there, face burning, hands shaking, not from the slap, but from the realization that hit harder. They were going to let it happen. Again. I grabbed my jacket without another word and walked out. No one followed. No one called me back. That night, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. You shouldn't have provoked her. I stared at the screen for a long time. Provoked her. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Because I finally understood something I'd avoided for years. It wasn't just my sister. It was the silence that protected her. And once I saw that, I stopped reacting the way they expected. I didn't go home that night. I drove until the streets blurred and the anger settled into something colder. Quieter. The kind of clarity that only comes after you stop making excuses for people. For years, I'd told myself my parents were stuck in the middle. That my sister was just emotional. That keeping the peace meant swallowing a little hurt. But sitting alone in my car, cheek still stinging, I finally asked the question I'd avoided. What kind of peace requires one person to bleed? The next morning, my sister texted. You seriously embarrassed me last night. No apology. No acknowledgement of what she'd done. I didn't reply. Then my dad called. Your sister's been under a lot of stress, he said. You know how she is. Yes, I replied. I do. And? He prompted. And I'm done pretending that explains it. Silence. My mom sent a longer message later. Paragraphs about family unity. About forgiveness. About not letting one moment ruin relationships. I read it twice. Then I responded with a single sentence. I will not be around people who hurt me and call it love. That's when the tone changed. Suddenly, I was being dramatic. Cold. Unreasonable. My sister posted vague quotes online about toxic people who play the victim. Relatives started checking in, not to ask what happened, but to suggest I apologize to keep the family together. I didn't argue. I stepped back. I stopped coming to weekly dinners. I declined birthdays. I muted group chats. At first, it felt strange, like I was breaking a law I didn't know existed. Then something unexpected happened. I felt lighter. Without constant criticism, I slept better. Without bracing for insults, I laughed more. Without waiting for approval, I made decisions for myself. A month passed. Then 2. Eventually, my sister showed up at my place unannounced. You really think you can just disappear? She asked. I looked at her, not with fear or anger, but with something close to pity. I didn't disappear, I said. I stepped away. She scoffed. Over one slap. I met her eyes. Over a lifetime of being told it didn't matter. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She left without another word. That night, I realized something important. Distance isn't punishment. It's protection. And I had finally chosen myself. The slap had hurt. But the silence after. That was the last time I let it define me. It took months before my parents finally asked to meet. Not to apologize. To talk things through. We met at a cafe halfway between our homes, neutral ground, like this was a business dispute instead of years of damage. My mom started first. "We miss you." "I know," I said. My dad folded his hands. "But families argue. You can't just cut people off." I nodded slowly. "You're right. Arguments happen." They both relaxed. Too soon. "But abuse isn't an argument," I continued. "And silence isn't neutrality." My mom's eyes filled. She didn't mean it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "She meant to slap me," I said. "And you meant to look away." That landed. For the first time, they didn't rush to defend her. "I needed you," I added. "And you chose comfort over courage." My dad swallowed hard. "I'm not asking you to choose between us," I said. "I already know how that goes. I'm just telling you what I require if I'm going to be in your lives." I laid it out calmly. No insults disguised as jokes. No minimizing harm. No pressuring me to be the bigger person when I was the only one bleeding. And accountability, real accountability. If those boundaries were too much, I said, then this distance stays. We sat in silence. Finally, my mom whispered, "We didn't realize how much we were hurting you." I believed she meant it. But belief wasn't enough anymore. "I hope things change," I said as I stood. "For your sake." They hugged me goodbye, tentative, careful. I didn't know what the future held. But I knew one thing for sure. I would never again sit at a table where my pain was invisible. Love doesn't ask you to endure violence to prove loyalty. And family isn't defined by who shares your blood, but by who stands up when it matters most.